Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages. It is Sunday, November 12th, 2023, 8 in the morning. Howdy, howdy, howdy from the great state of Texas. So, let's talk about $4D chess. So in the past, we have theorized that the reason the deep state wants open borders was to dilute the voting pool. That's when we got DARPA, the Dreamers, and even Ronald Reagan, the Gipper, played into this by giving clemency to the illegal aliens during his presidency and making them all citizens. Now, what did he do? Well, he took and gave them clemency and basically a pardon and made them all citizens. So even the great Gipper had some failures. And what do we need to be looking for now? Well, it's not all about diluting the voting pool, because they've pretty much got it all figured out how to, hide, millions and millions of votes in order to sway an election. They got that kind of figured out. They did it. It got accomplished, and they did not get caught. Well, they got caught, but nothing happened. They were able to play it off. Well, I did a video some years back about a great reset. And I've done several different great resets. Well, during the Revolutionary War, we had a great reset. And England was kicked out, and we established America the Beautiful as, an independent country. Now, we've had World War I, where we fought as a war. Now, let's talk about World War I. Did World War I actually encompass the whole world? Not necessarily. I don't think Canada had any kind of hand in World War I. And I guarantee you South America and Mexico had very little, if anything, to do with it. So it wasn't technically a world war, but you got to think about the world as it evolves in terms of its size. During biblical times, where the fastest thing we had for transport was a horse and buggy, and only the wealthy had that. So you had the world was, pretty much an area the size, any one person's world was never any bigger than the size of Texas. And I say that because that would encompass everything in that world. And probably that's even going too far. Texas is very, very large. But let's just use that as a marker. World War I and World War II the world was much bigger yet smaller because we had the invention of cars, which made any one person's world no bigger than the size of America. Ships and planes and all that stuff like that have made, even during World War II, it was very treacherous to fly, and even more to sail still. It took Christopher Columbus almost 6 months to traverse the Atlantic, whereas we've got ships now that can traverse the Atlantic in 1, maybe 2 days at the most. The world is much smaller now. And when I use the word world, I mean it is a planetary thing now. Because it has gotten smaller because of technology, communication, information, transportation is so much faster now. Instant gratification. But let's turn this buggy back around again. At the end of World War II, Japanese general was interviewed and asked why he never attacked mainland America. And his response was, because behind every blade of grass was a gun. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, behind every blade of grass was a gun. Why do you think Deep State wants to disarm us? Because what can a government do with an armed populace that it cannot do with a disarmed populace, or vice versa? What can it not do with an armed populace that it can do with a disarmed populace? Anything it wants. If we give up our right to keep and bear arms, we give up our rights. A nation of the people, for the people, by the people, is only held in that position because the people are armed and can dismount the government. Take away the guns, and we are no longer a nation of people. We are a nation of government. We're a nation of the governed. And then in creeps dictatorships. We end up with, like on Star Wars, an emergency decree during a wartime creates an empire instead of a republic. Dudes, we've got all the ingredients in the pot, and the pot is boiling. We're just waiting to call it soup. We've got a war. We've got two wars going on right now. A war in Russia with the Ukraine, which seems to be cooling off at the moment. And we got the war in Israel right now. And holy smokes, we're sending money. We're printing up so much money just to send them, it might as well be monopoly money. What is the difference between now and years ago during at the end of World War II? One, we've technically been in a war for the last 20 years with Islam. Whether you want to call it a war or not, it was a war. And it did not end well, guys. It did not end with a victory. It did not end with the signing of a treaty or the signing over of powers. It ended with us leaving in a haste, leaving pallets of money, pallets of weapons, and hangars full of hardware and vehicles and weapons of war on several bases. Next generation technology that the enemy wished they had when they were battling us. Now they have it to battle us. They have money. They have weapons. They have government backing. And they have a port of entry, guys. All they gotta do, and you know, the cartel, say what you want about them. Ultimately, they are a business. They are a crappy, mean, hateful business that all they want to do, they are the mafia squared. But ultimately, money talks, bullshit walks. You pay the cartel's price, they'll let you do anything you fucking want to. As long as they get their taste. And they've got pallets of money. They ain't got, nothing to do with it. They take one of those pallets of money and they just ship it over to the cartel. And the cartel, gives them concierge service, guys. Shipping them in through the south border of Mexico to make it seem as though they're a caravan of migrants or refugees. Feed them in somewhere through the middle and truck them in boxcars into America. And once you get them into America, what do? They let them go. They don't even put a freaking GPS monitor on their ankle. They give them a phone. We give them a phone, guys. And we give them all of our social services. Come to America. We'll heal you what ails you. We build them a property a few miles in Sealy, just north of Sealy, where you can live. Have you a nice little compound. And America is not armed as it used to be. Yes, there are more guns in America right now in private hands than there are people. But it's not every blade of grass anymore, guys. We've had good times for way too long, guys. It has made us complacent. It has made us weak. It has taken away our spine. We just winded our war, our 20-year war. 20 years, guys. We stuck it to them for 20 years. And why did we bring them home? Because there was so many crying to the right people to bring our troops home, because people were coming home. They weren't showing, war heroes, and it wasn't a national spectacle to get the Congressional Medal of Honor anymore. They were showing it at like midnight, if they'd show it at any time. They'd show commercials of wounded warriors, which, guys, I know wounded warriors are a terrible thing, but they should be made heroes instead of propaganda to, oh, they're such poor people. These soldiers gave part of their bodies physically. And they came home. They didn't want sympathy. They wanted just to live their life. They wanted government to take care of them as they promised, with their medical bills and their medical problems, and make their life, their handicap, make them handy-capable again. But now we have pussies in our midst. We've got beta men. We've got people worse than beta men running around, crying, that they're really women. We got feminists starting to, starting their ass to pucker when the thought of World War III and female conscriptions into the war. They, oh fuck! I don't want to be the same as a man. I'm gonna go wash the dishes and fold some laundry. Maybe cook a sandwich. I'm a woman. I can't go to war. When for years now they've been trying to they've got women in the Marines now. They got women who want to be SEAL teams and stuff like that, and special forces. To the point where the military had to change the test. We wanted elite people. To be in our elite teams. Yet enough crab crawling and pussyfooting, they changed the test. So now we're just not quite as elite, but we have women in there now. And I'm not dissing women, but to force the military and their special forces and their elite teams to test on a less than elite level just to satisfy some woke elitists' mentality to make somebody feel good. It's crap. Guys, for years now, we've had a compound south of Angleton. We've had a compound east of Dallas. We've got a compound now north of Sealy. That's 3 compounds that I know about. The one south of Angleton, if you're a cop, you better not go anywhere near there because they'll take you out. Literally. The world got smaller, guys, and our enemies were allowed to move strategically on the chessboard and infiltrate every segment of our society. Neighborhoods, government, law enforcement. It's all infiltrated, guys. Let's go, Brandon.